Hello, and welcome to
A Couple Codes.
My name is Cody,
My name is Emily.
and we're currently on week 2 of completing the Odin Project, an open source curriculum for web development. Today we'll talk about our progress so far and everything that is notable from what we've learned.
We've continued working on the Odin Project full time, so we've been working on it for about 8 hours per day, 5 days a week. And although we started at the same time, we are making progress at different paces. So I'm currently about 3/4 of the way through the Foundations project, and I'm currently working on the JavaScript project for creating a simple computer-based rock, paper, scissors game. So where are you in the curriculum?
I'm almost done with the Foundations course, so I completed the landing page, the rock, paper, scissors project, and the Etch-a-Sketch project as well. It's been a lot of JavaScript, and I've been really enjoying it.
Cool. One of the things that I really liked this week was that we got to complete that landing page project. So it basically just challenged you to use HTML and CSS to recreate a website landing page. And as we both have experience with HTML and CSS, it wasn't a super challenging project, but it was really nice to be able to do some of my own coding. After reading so many articles and just kind of doing simple exercises, it felt nice to have that creativity and that time to be able to free code.
I agree. I really liked getting into the landing page project. It was pretty refreshing after reading so much.
Yeah. So let's talk about any new concepts that have hit home for us this week. I know 3 things come to my mind. The first was that I really had some light bulb moments when going in depth on conditionals. So I've used if-else conditional statements before with JavaScript, but I never really understood how it worked. And so it was really cool to kind of go deeper with that and learn how the computer evaluates the expressions that we write and the statements that we write and what those return values are. So although it was a lot to read through and some of it was repetitive, I found that repetition helpful for really solidifying those concepts. Second, I really enjoyed learning about Chrome DevTools, and it really blew my mind how much you can do with Chrome DevTools, especially with all the different ways that you can debug your code. So I feel like that will be super helpful in the future, and it was fun to get an initial taste for how to use it. And third, I really enjoyed the problem-solving module with the Odin Project. So they had a whole module on how to approach your problems, and they recommend first understanding the problem, second planning a solution, and then third dividing the problem into sub-problems. The whole thing was helpful, but I think that third step of dividing your problems into the simplest sub-problems is incredibly helpful, because there have been a lot of times when I've tried to solve a complex problem and I just kind of attack it with a bunch of really random solutions and then see what sticks. And a lot of times when something does stick, I might not even understand why it stuck, and I would just keep moving forward. But when you can take a problem and go line by line or task by task and just divide it into those simple sub-problems, then it helps so much, because first of all, you have an initial starting place, and each sub-problem kind of leads to the other sub-problems. And then you have an understanding of the actual problem. So even though you're still struggling through that complex problem, you're doing it in a helpful way, because you're understanding more about why your solution works versus just kind of doing random code with it. And that's helping a lot while I'm completing the rock, paper, scissors project in the JavaScript section as well right now. So anything notable that you've worked on this week?
Yeah, so this week was the first time that I've interacted with automated testing, and specifically learning about test-driven development. So I've, like kind of Emily was saying, I have a tendency just to hack my way through my projects, not necessarily always understanding, but if it produces the result that I wanted, then okay. But test-driven development is actually a practice of writing automated tests that try to describe how your code should work before you actually write any code. So it's definitely something that was covered in that problem-solving section that Emily was referring to. Trying to think about the problem that you're trying to solve yourself and break it down so thoroughly that when you get to the code, it's super easy. You just have to look up how to do this specific kind of problem in this specific kind of language. But coming back to the tests, the JavaScript exercises had me run automated testing scripts while I was building the functions for those exercises. I didn't write any of the actual tests themselves, so I haven't gotten practice, but it was an introduction to running the actual scripts to test the scripts that I wrote. So it was a pretty good introduction there, just getting into the habit of doing that. So I'm looking forward to actually getting to that point where I'm writing my own tests and seeing what that actually looks like for driving development.
Awesome. So I have two last thoughts to add today. The first is that I wanted to share a quote that has been very helpful for keeping me motivated this week. That quote is, "Compare yourself only to who you were yesterday." And this is really helpful for me this week because, as I stated earlier, Cody and I are completing the project at different paces. Cody has surpassed me in his completion of the Foundations course, and there have been times in the past when Cody and I have both worked on studying web development before, and I have become discouraged at certain points because I would compare myself to him and, wonder about why he's able to complete things so much faster than me, or become discouraged about thinking about how much more he knows than me in this space. And it's honestly taken me this long to really internalize the importance of just focusing on my own journey and acknowledging that everybody is on their own journey. And so it's not really useful for us to compare ourselves to others, and we should really just think about our own progress and be proud of ourselves for putting in the work every single day. So that's helped to keep me motivated this week. My second note is that this week I've started coding in my sleep, and it's been interesting, and I'm just wondering if this has happened to anybody else.
I've never done coding while sleeping or in my dreams. I've woken up in the middle of the night and kind of had a realization for problems before, but I've never coded in my sleep.
So if anyone out there has, I've also had experience with lucid dreaming before, and I tend to remember all of my dreams, but it's just been very weird to dream about writing functions and problem solving in that way.
Well, that's all we have for today. Be sure to hit the like button and subscribe if you'd like to follow along on our journey. Tell us about your own coding journey in the comments below.
Thanks for tuning into
A Couple Codes.